Hello, everyone. This is 8-Bit here, and today we have another ownership report. Um, it's going to be a very exciting one. Collectibles have been absolutely blowing up in the past couple of months. Feels like a collectibles renaissance, and so far it's mostly been just Pokemon cards. But I think it's time for a new era of collectibles. So today I'm joined with David here, uh, founder of Rip Cars. Hey, David, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man. Yeah, the morning is crazy. The whole team is excited about it. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
And it's kind of unexpected, but the moment basically the raise started, it's already been filled. So if anybody's joining in from a couple days from now, you're already, Rip Cars has already filled up the ICO in the first couple hours. So I just want to say congratulations for that. Um,
Yeah,
it's very exciting.
thank you so
Um,
much. Yeah, just like I guess like in the first 1 minute, someone put in $2 million, which was crazy. Yeah, totally unexpected.
Yeah, that being said, I think we can get into it. So I just want to talk a little bit about just maybe 60 seconds or 2 minutes about you, David. Who are you? Why are you doing this? How did you get introduced to MetaDAO? Um, Maybe you could, provide a little bit of context with ownership ventures and how that relates to Rip Cars and
Sure.
all that. So yeah.
Sure. My background comes from Web2 companies. I've been building startups since, I guess, 2013 in my home country in Georgia. And I still own a couple of companies right now in Georgia together with my co founder. We are running the biggest Twilio like SMS gateway that does 120 million, like even more than that, messages every month. We basically work with utility companies, with neobanks, with different e-commerce companies. We have 70% of the market. Uh, I used to be a CEO of the company until 2021, but now I'm on the board. So I just join the board calls every quarter. So that's one company. And then we also run one of the big outsourcing companies, like engineering companies in data science and cloud solutions, together with our Israeli partners. And the company is primarily focused on Israeli market, supporting different startups over there. So this is my experience on the Web2 side. And uh, like in 2021, me and my co-founder started to do market making for NFTs. That's how we got introduced to algo trading. We then kind of diversified into funding rates arbitrage, and different types of DeFi yield arbitrage opportunities. Regarding the MetaDAO, it was 2024, and so I moved to US in 2023, well, 2024, and then I got introduced to Profit at a small event that our mutual friend was organizing in San Francisco. That's how I heard about Futurkey. That was like the first time I heard about it, and there was no launchpad back then. So it was literally decision markets for other tokens back then. And my first question was, how could I arbitrage the decision markets, right? Because like coming from the algo trading experience, that was like the first question in my head. So we did a bit of research on it together with my co-founder, looked into the code, and that's where we realized that the decision market as a governance structure is actually superior to everything else that we have seen before on the market. And we just got like very excited about it. Yeah, that's how I met Profit back in like 2024.
So basically, from market making NFTs to now making Rip Cars, which is digital collectibles for Hot Wheels. So it's like a full circle of collectibles. For sorry,
Exactly.
gotcha for Hot Wheels. So tell me a little bit more about how this whole Hot Wheels idea came from and what kind of market we're tackling here.
Sure.
Because Pokemon is very, very like everybody knows Pokemon. It's in a public zeitgeist quite a bit, and the Pokemon cards have been quite huge even before them being in crypto. Like the Pokemon card market was, already quite big for years and years. So I'm wondering how the Hot Wheels market compares to that, and where you got even this idea of Hot Wheels.
Sure. So first of all, I really like the idea of tapping into existing markets outside of crypto, right? So Pokemon is a market like that. It does have $10 billion of secondary volume already on the market, and I think it's genius to take NFT standard and basically use that to tokenize actual Pokemon cards that are stored in the warehouse, and then like put a gacha machine on top of that. So the market was there, and now gacha machines are generating around $2 billion annualized in the TCG sector, which is crazy, right? And then, like regarding the Hot Wheels idea, I came up with it like 2 months ago. Literally, I was at Target store, and I saw a gentleman that was going through all of the cars at the aisle at Target. And I just got curious, like because he spent maybe an hour over there just looking through each and every car, literally at the aisle. And then I came back home. I looked through it, and I realized that like every box that is that basically is stored at a retail shop, it usually has 72 cars in it. And out of those 72, there is like one super treasure hunt, which if you find it, you can buy it for like $1.5, $1.2, and then you can resell it at say $300, right? It could be 100, like depends on which car you pull from the box. And then you also have a couple of treasure hunts, which you can resell maybe at $20 to $50, right? So there is this because people like Pokemon cards because you can rip it and then you don't know what's inside, right? So it's a very similar experience to Hot Wheels, I would say. And then I looked into the numbers, and like Hot Wheels is pretty much $1.7 billion primary market on annual basis, which is huge. I didn't even like expect that. And then we did analytics on the secondary market. We actually looked into the eBay numbers on daily basis, and we analyzed that. So eBay is doing around $66 million of secondary sales of collectible grade Hot Wheels every year. And then we have Whatnot and Facebook Marketplace and all of the other like IRL channels to actually for the collectors to sell their cars. And it's pretty liquid. I've been meeting a lot of collectors. One of them just sold a 20,000 collection in around a week. Like as soon as big collections are being listed, they usually get bought up pretty fast by other collectors, and that gave me additional signals that there is a liquidity, there is a demand for it, and also if we go like into the actual specifics of the cars, you have muscle cars, and then you have JDM, like Japan domestic manufacturing of the cars. And what I also see that the new generation, the people below 30 years, are actually collecting newer cars. So some super treasure hunts of 2026 are now selling for like $500.
Yeah, I also want to touch on the demographics a little bit because I think that's an interesting topic to cover because I think everybody or a lot of people grew up watching Pokemon or collecting Pokemon cards, but there is, I feel like perhaps an audience where which cars could be more approachable than these Pokemon. What do you think is a target demographic for Hot Wheels as opposed to Pokemon? Is there an overlap? Are these mutually exclusive, or how do you look at that?
So Hot Wheels history starts around 1969, and then Pokemon history starts around 1998. So there are like baby boomers and Gen X, which are very specific generations for the Hot Wheels, right? And even today, you would meet a lot of 50 plus people that are collecting Hot Wheels. But also there are millennials and Gen Z and Gen Alpha that is always also very much interested in Hot Wheels. So if you look at the demographics of Hot Wheels, you would see that it actually like ticks each and every box on every age group that exists today. But then like Pokemon, I would say is more of like millennials, Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And like a story that I really like is that a week ago, I was again at Target. Man, I love Target. Like I usually hang out there for a bit, and I find people who are collecting, who are hunting for the super treasure hunts, and then I just speak with them to get their feedbacks. And so a gentleman in his 90s shows up, and he's looking for this specific purple passion car. So I approached him and I was like, are you a collector? And he told me that he owns a real life like car museum in the Bay Area. And then he has exactly the same car that he is buying Hot Wheels for. Yeah, and I saw that story alone is very exciting. And then his son shows up, so he is the co-owner of that museum, and he was like, "Dad, so how is it?" And the son was like maybe 35 years old, and he was like, "Dad, how is it going? Did you find anything?" And Dad was super happy that he actually found those cars. And man, it was just a yeah, like the more I spend time in this industry, the more I understand that there is this like very strong collector base.
One other very important factor in Pokemon collection or Pokemon collecting is grading, right? Because as you said, some people like to rip open cards, and some of them like to put in these little plastic bags you can send to a professional grader, and they can give you, I think it's a number out of 10 on how what the quality of the grading is. Do Hot Wheels have anything like that? Are you guys planning to sell unopened cars or opened cars, or maybe set up your own grading system at some point if it doesn't exist?
Well, first of all, I should mention that grading business is a great business, okay? Because like all of these companies like PSA and CGC and like there are maybe like 5 of them, man, like I follow their pages, and time to time they just say that, okay, we are overbooked, don't send anything else, we aren't taking orders. And to me, it's crazy, right? So the demand is so high that they are pretty much overbooked, even though they've been on the market for like more than 10 years, right? But let's put that aside. In our case, we are starting with mint or near mint condition packs, which are sealed. So the car is still in its original packaging, unopened, and the actual cardboard is in near mint condition or a mint condition, right? So that's what we are focused on. We're going to have protectors for every car that we store in a vault. Yeah, so no grading at the beginning, because it's not very common right now in the Hot Wheels community to actually do the grading of the cars. But we think that if the value and the price of the cars keeps climbing up, there are going to be a need for the grading business. And some of the collectors that we spoke with actually told us that, guys, if you actually start the grading business as well at some point down the road, we're going to be your customers, because there is no efficient way to grade the cars right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the grading business is really crazy. I mean, just to grade a Pokemon card, it can cost from like $20 to $80. So if you guys could get into that, I think that would be super valuable. Yeah.
And you have to wait for months or something, right? It's crazy to me, right? Like sometimes I talk with people and they're like, oh yeah, it's not even a month. Like sometimes it's like 3 months that you have to wait for your graded card to actually ship back to you. So yeah.
And one more question about the demographics and like where do these Hot Wheels collectors live? Is it, I mean, digitally, is it on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram? Or have you encountered people from crypto Twitter who collect these cars? I know you already mentioned, meeting people, but I am curious where you think most of the audience is.
Yeah, I would say Facebook is pretty big because of the Facebook Marketplace and Facebook groups. So I'm part of a lot of groups, Bay Area groups, like North California group, like general US-based Hot Wheels group. So like a lot of the collectors are over there and just selling their collections either on the marketplace or just posting about that in the groups. So I would say Facebook is one, and that's where you could find more of probably like 30 plus age group. And then you also have a lot of people on X, actually, surprisingly. So I'm following some of the pages. They do have a pretty good follower base, very big engagement. And that's probably like I would say 20 to 30-year-old age group, right? Yeah, and then Whatnot is surprisingly pretty big. I've seen sellers like selling out like a collection of 1,000 cars, right, within say 4 hours, 3 hours, and there are always bidders. So at some point, I just estimated all of the bidders in live auctions on Whatnot, and it was more than 500. So yeah, the Whatnot is pretty big as well.
Okay, now let's walk through a little bit about the raise. So could you tell me a little bit about how much you're raising, and what the money is actually going to be used for? How are you going to stack inventory and how that's going to look like? And maybe about the platform that you're going to build, because I've seen some people say that there's no product, and maybe that's a concern, but I mean, that's what you're here to do, is to raise money to build a product. So what's the product going to look like? And yeah,
Sure.
maybe that was too many questions in once.
Yeah, no
hopefully you can
problems.
keep them in mind, but
Yeah.
I'll reiterate if you forget any.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, starting with the raise. So we are raising 250K, right? And 20% of that is going towards the inventory and inventory acquisition. Probably like in the Bay Area, I'm going to be sourcing it locally. Then we're going to be putting 30% of that into the advertising, social media management. We are thinking like there is another like maybe domain names that we might acquire. Let's see how it goes. But anyway, like 30% is going towards the marketing expenditure, and that's very important for us because we want to understand what's going to be a user acquisition cost for us, and then like how much we could generate lifetime per every repeated customer that we have. Out of 250K, 50K is going, like 20% is going into the liquidity pool. And then for the engineering and design, we have only 16%. So me and my co-founder, who is on the tech side, we're not going to be taking the salary from the raise amount. And like a lot of people are like, why aren't you taking any salary, and so on. But for us, it's more important to actually see if the product works, and if there is revenue, that's when we will take the salary. But we're not going to be taking anything from the actual raise amount. And then we have legal accounting, probably 8%, because we are going to be an US company. So I would imagine that like accounting and legal structuring going to take quite some expenses. And then inventory management, like pretty much the warehouse and management of the warehouse. We don't really need a big warehouse, for the beginning at least. So we're going to get a good secured warehouse with temperature and humidity control. And we're going to have a vault. We're going to vault our Hot Wheels in there. Yeah, so this is pretty much, it's pretty tight, I should say. But as you mentioned, the product is not yet live. So that's why it's more of a pre-seed round, pre-market round. On the product side, we have been working on it for the last over a month, I would say. So my co-founder, the biggest challenge is developing a good fair market valuation algorithm. Because with Pokemon, you already have like a lot of players that are running their own FMV engines. So you can actually take, let's say, 5 different FMV engines and then do an averaging or like weighted averaging of each of them to get like actual market valuation for every card. That's not the case with Hot Wheels. There are a couple of apps which we don't like because we've been testing them and the results are not that good. Because we've been comparing that to our like manual estimates as well. So very important thing for the secondary market and for our business is to actually develop a very good fair market valuation engine that people do actually trust. Because everything else on the market right now, when I talk with collectors, when I see people posting about it in different Facebook groups, people are not happy with what we have on the market right now. So again, a lot of low-hanging fruit. We might do the FMV like estimate like FMV application as a side product as well at some point, so that you could like scan any car and get the fair market value for it. Yeah, but that might be like down the road.
What does product validation look like? Like, what would you consider a success here? When would you say that, okay, we've achieved, this is a success, maybe we can raise more money, increase our inventory? What would be the next step, or like what would accelerate Rip Cars into the next stage?
Yeah, I would say conservative is if we get 1 million in volume during the first 3 months of the launch. Again, conservative. I think we have potential to go for a higher volume, but that would be considered a great milestone based on which we could then go for the next round. And I want to highlight that the reason this round is very small is that we want to launch it and test it on the market, but we will need to raise additional round pretty fast if it actually works and if we achieve the milestone, because it's important for us to be first on the market. And yeah, for that we need to have liquidity and we need to have like good backing on that side. Yeah, and then talking about the economics behind the volume. So per every 1 million, we expect to make 5.5% in net revenue margin. Yeah, because we're gonna have 90% buyback, and the gacha gonna have a plus 5% expected value.
And what makes you guys unique? And what I mean by that is, what stops something like Collector Crypt from just copying, or not just copying, but basically introducing Hot Wheels on their end? Or do you think maybe this is too early to say? But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts there.
Sure. So I'll give you like my personal opinion about it. So there is technical side, there is understanding of the market, and then having the first mover advantage. So on the technical side, my co-founder has been in machine learning like before ChatGPT. So he's been developing systems for the government, and then like since 2017, we've been running back then like the biggest AI company, like AI engineering company in our home country in Georgia. So we were like literally the first guys to run a lot of like AI experiments in Georgia. We've been doing like warehouse optimization software development, computer vision development, NLP development, lots of different projects from US and different other countries. Yeah, so it's important to highlight that while the company was based in Georgia, majority of our clients were outside of Georgia, so pretty much international. So he's got a very good background in machine learning and optimization work and engineering in general. That's why I think we are moving very fast on the fair market valuation engine. And again, like talking about the moat, having a good FMV engine that people trust, And if you are the first to bring this FMV engine into the hands of people, that's where you build a very good distribution and very good moat. So that's one. Another side of it is that Hot Wheels are different from TCG. The culture is different. The actual, like the how you value the cars, like the cars is different, right? So you need to spend time in the industry talking with the collectors, and we've spent hundreds of hours already, just being very much focused on this niche. And I think like understanding of all of those flows of the market gives us an additional advantage compared to anyone else that could launch the gacha machine or like tokenized Hot Wheels in the future. And then like, of course, being the first mover, right? I think being first mover is very important when it comes to marketing, distribution, being like the original like idea creator to the market. That's what I believe people value a lot.
All right. And I think I just have two more questions, and then we can end the episode after that. So the next question would be just to basically summarize what's immediate or near future, so like the next week / next month will look like for Rip Cars. What can we expect to happen?
Yeah, we're going to be unveiling. Well, we're not going to be talking like about everything that we're going to be launching, right? So stage by stage, we're going to be talking about, what kind of acquisitions we are making on the inventory side, the progress on the legal side, because we need to set up a US entity for it. So we're going to be unveiling all of that. We expect the product to go live by the end of August. That's our internal deadline for it. And in product, I mean the FMV engines, fair market valuation engine, along with the actual gacha machine, which means that by that time, we will already have all the inventory on hands. Like there is quite a lot of stuff that needs to be built out, but we're going to be starting lean. Like, for example, at this stage, it's not a problem, to manage the inventory. But once we get even more inventory, let's say if we go towards like $500,000 in inventory, that's when the inventory management becomes more time consuming, right? And we will need to build systems on that side as well, or partner with some of the existing marketplaces to use their backend infrastructure. That's also on the table. So I would say immediate, like next month, is preparation for the launch and unveiling some of the things that we are cooking on the backside.
All right. I think just one more question, which is, which I did ask at the beginning, but we didn't quite get to it. So my question would be, you're also going to be doing ownership ventures. So will this interfere, and why or why not? Like, why do you think this is a valuable lesson for somebody who's going to be running ownership ventures? Like, how does this thing connect?
Sure. So first of all, I will talk a bit about the ownership ventures. Ownership ventures is a MetaDAO-native open-ended hedge fund that is right now is a formation stage, and we should go live at the beginning of September. So we do have some time before the fund is live, and that's why we're going to be launching in August. So like a lot of the foundation work, a lot of the systems and technical development going to be done before there is fund. And like priority for us, of course, is to be focused on the fund, and that's why we want to put as much energy and as much groundwork into the Rip Cars before that. The plan is to recruit and operate like a manager for Rip Cars at some point, maybe like after 3 months, so that especially if we see the volumes going up. Right now, it's pretty much me and my co-founder, but then we're going to need someone to operate everything. And then we, of course, going to be involved on the strategy side, on the governance side, and just like making the product great for the consumers. So that's the immediate plan on the operations and the management. But yeah, one thing I want to mention is that So far, I see that like a lot of my time is going towards the inventory acquisition and management. So throughout the last 2-3 weeks, I've been acquiring inventory and just like testing the market and getting partnerships in place for the inventory. So even like that part has been consuming a lot of time of mine. As soon as we have some funds to recruit a new person to get that, I mean, like a lot of my time going to be free at that point. And on the ownership venture side, our big priority is to just get the deal sourcing and then get more LPs on board.
All right, I think that sums it up, and we can end it here. Are there any closing thoughts you could offer, Mr. David? Anything you want to say to the audience, so that
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has committed the capital to our raise. Yeah, thank you for the trust.
Yep. All right. And that's it for this episode, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.